Hey everybody, I'm Jordan Valgerdson. So this is the first video. We're going to be documenting our build process for the new autocross car. Stay tuned. Introducing Justin Holm. He's not only going to be building the car with me, but he's going to be driving it with me as well as a co-driver. It's actually his car that we're building. We've been driving together now for maybe 7 or 8 years, and it's been a ton of fun. We've gone on many adventures to California, to Packwood, Washington, and to Alberta for the Canadian Nationals this year. A little bit about myself. I've been into cars since I was a little guy. When it started young with Hot Wheels, racing them with my brother, having competition, having tournaments. Grew that into starting to collect model cars. I remember having a Ferrari F50, and it was the coolest model car that I had, one of the first few ones that I had, and it really got me into it. I started collecting them. I had buddies who all collected them. Eventually, when I was old enough to then not own a car, but to drive a car, I got my license, started driving around a car. My dad and me, my dad mostly, built a Chrysler Daytona 1985 turbocharged motor, and we had it unfortunately only until I was 17 when I crashed, but that was definitely enough to get me addicted further into the car scene. But as punishment for crashing that car, I did drive a Pontiac Firefly for the next, I think it was the next 4 or 5 years at least, until I graduated from university. So I graduated from university, started working for my first job. A couple months in, decided I wanted to pull the trigger and upgrade my car, get into something more fun, and I bought a Mazda RX-8. That was 2010. That was sort of the kind of beginning of my journey, my adult journey of getting into sort of more automotive knowledge around my RX-8. Took on doing all the fixes myself. A few years down the road, ended up doing a motor swap, which was a big undertaking for myself at that time. RX-8s, of course, too, you know, are famous for requiring a motor swap around 80 to 100,000 kilometers, and I was in that range, so I ended up taking that on and learning a lot about my car. I did a lot of little other modifications as well. A lot of people do suspension upgrades, so I did that, wheel upgrades, tire upgrades. But it really wasn't until 2015, 2016, actually maybe it was 2016 when I decided to, no, it must have been 2015, when I was looking to take it to the next level and really experience my car. And so I looked around for a motorsports club, and there were some locally that were doing autocross. I'd heard about autocross through different friends and other sort of enthusiast websites. And so I signed up for my first autocross event, and I was hooked to motorsports. Autocross by far was the most fun thing for me at that time to be experiencing with my car. But we won't be working on this car this year. So the car that we're building up is Justin's 2014 Scion FRS. The class that we're choosing is the SSC, which stands for Solo Spec Coupe class. Solo Spec Coupe is a class that was designed to standardize a car in a class, to make it less about the car and more about the drivers who are all competing. In autocross, there's so many variances between different classes and cars that sometimes along the way you can be wondering to yourself, am I doing all the right things I need to be doing to my car to be competitive? Is it about me? Is it about the car? And this just helps to eliminate one of those variables and still have a fun class. So we're gonna give it a shot.
One of the main goals for these videos is to go through step by step the process of doing the work. I really want to show people what our experience is doing the work and some of the challenges that we experienced along the way, and with the hope of providing the instructions for others to do the same.
To find the Solo Spec Coupe rule set, head over to scca.com and download the 2024 Solo rules. Once there, scroll down to section 20 and you'll see all of the permitted modifications and required parts for the class. All of these parts can be found on the Tire Rack website. Okay, so let's head over to the Tire Rack website where we're going to go purchase all of our parts. Everything has to be from Tire Rack. They are the sponsor of this class. So you have to start shopping. We'll go select our make and model. Justin's car is a Scion 2014 FRS, but it can be the models between 2013 and 2016. We'll select Solo Spec Coupe, which is a special class that only comes up in Tire Rack specifically for these cars. It's all built in. Put in our zip code 98230. That's Blaine, where I roughly go to pick up parts. Category, we'll start off with the suspension. That's kind of the main parts that is for this class. Right away you see the ABAC Pro Plus kit for SCCA Solo Spec Coupe SSC. Pretty easy, so you can just add that to your cart. The price is about $653 per kit. This is springs and sway bars and bump stops. As you can see, they are in stock. Deliveries are actually pretty good on this stuff. Moving down the list, the ABAC replacement bushings. Yeah, we might as well replace those so we have some fresh ones. Continuing on, we have the Coney Sport Shocks, tamper-proof seal. So these are the shocks, the approved shocks that go with the class. So we'll need 2 rears and 2 fronts. The rears are common, as you can see here, and the front left and front right will each have to be added individually. So we'll get that added in. Then we have the SPC Scion Subaru adjustable alignment kit. This will allow us to dial in the alignment settings. Gives the kit a bit more, gives the stock setup a bit more range to dial in a little bit more negative camber, a little bit more starting negative camber, which will make a big difference. And then beyond that, we could replace our sway bar, our links for the sway bars. So we might just go ahead and do that. I'll buy the cheaper ones, just so that we have something. Next is tires and wheels. We will typically go and do a sort of a package, just because this way, if you buy the tire and wheel as a package on Tire Rack's website, they'll mount and balance the tires for free, essentially. So go shop tire and wheel package. We've already selected our class or our car. Now I sort by weight. We want to it's always best to minimize the weight that your wheels have. And the regulation says that each wheel has to be a 17x8 wheel, and it has to have a minimum weight of 17 pounds. You'll see some of these on here, the Koenig Hypergram wheels, they have a weight of 16.25, and that is only permissible if your total weight after TPMS sensors and spacers and wheel weights gets you up to 17 pounds. So this would be a really good wheel if you're going to have all of those, because it's the least weight, and for a decent price, a full set of 4, $940. This is of course USD prices, but we're going to choose the Koenig Decagram, 17 pounds exactly, offset of 40 millimeters. Again, that's the required offset minimum. It can be more than that, and that way we won't use TPMS sensors, and we won't, we'll be exactly on regulation. The Aussie Ultra Ligero wheels are really nice too. I like the look of them. They're also 17 pounds or just a little bit over. I probably like the design of them a little bit more than some of the Koenig wheels, except that they are quite a bit more expensive. $340 I think a wheel, which gets pretty expensive. So a little over $100 more per wheel. The NK Tuning TS10s are also really nice. We were thinking about going with a gold wheel, just because that would look nice against the black. $884 for a full set. The weight was a little bit higher, 17.7 pounds per wheel, which isn't much, but when you're trying to be competitive in a class, every little bit helps. So we're just, trying to make a minimum wheel weight choice. So the Koenig decagram in black to go with the black car is what we're going to do. We may end up wrapping those wheels just to give it a slightly different color so that we have some contrast in our setup. And then the tire of choice for this whole class is the Falcon Azeni RT660s. These are the only tires that you can use for this class. It's a pretty easy choice there. You just have to add them. The pricing is not too bad, $181 per tire. That's US again. So it makes it very reasonable, at least when you compare to the previous class we were in with Hoosiers. We added some brakes as well, just to freshen them up. We've added some new centric rotors, just so we have some fresh rotors, and also we separately bought some Federo brakes, apparently what everybody's using in class to do well. So we might as well follow the way that everyone else is going to make sure that we're at least as competitive as we can be to start. Price overall for all these parts, $44.69 USD. So multiply that by the conversion factor to Canadian. Also, we're buying this in the US, so there's going to be a bit of duties or taxes we'll have to pay at the border. I always go and pick up at the border because it's cheaper to do that and pay some taxes when you bring it across rather than pay much more for shipping, much more for duties and handling at the border to try and get it just shipped to Canada. It's not worth it. You save more money in the end going and picking it up.
So please give me your feedback, leave some comments, send me a direct message. Be happy to hear any questions you may have or concerns. We don't pretend to be the experts in any of this. We're learning along the way ourselves, but we think it's going to be a fun adventure.